I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts.
The funeral of Diana, Princess of Wales, was a profound emotional experience for millions of people throughout the world. It was a unique celebration for a unique person, a vast memorial to someone whose life blew away the conventions of the age, and whose death finally brought home to so many people just how much her life had meant to them, how much they loved her. On this most emotive day, David Dimbleby described the scenes at Westminster Abbey.
The coffin with the royal standard and 3 wreaths of white lilies. This cortege is now halfway along the Mall, and still as it goes, silence from the mourners watching, the million who've come here to London, tears as it goes past. The Duke of Edinburgh on the left, Prince William, Charles Spencer, the brother in the centre, Prince Harry, and the Prince of Wales on the right.
We are gathered here in Westminster Abbey to give thanks for the life of Diana, Princess of Wales, to commend her soul to Almighty God, and to seek his comfort for all who mourn.
Diana was the very essence of compassion, of duty, of style, of beauty. All over the world, she was a symbol of selfless humanity, a standard-bearer for the rights of the truly downtrodden, a very British girl who transcended nationality, someone with a natural nobility who was classless, and who proved in the last year that she needed no royal title to continue to generate her particular brand of magic. It is a point to remember that of all the ironies about Diana, perhaps the greatest was this: a girl given the name of the ancient goddess of hunting was, in the end, the most hunted person of the modern age. I would like to end by thanking God for the small mercies he's shown us at this dreadful time, for taking Diana at her most beautiful and radiant, and when she had joy in her private life. Above all, we give thanks for the life of a woman I'm so proud to be able to call my sister, the unique, the complex, the extraordinary and irreplaceable Diana, whose beauty both internal and external, will never be extinguished from our minds.
Diana's body was laid to rest on an island in a lake at Althorpe, her family home in Northamptonshire, a place she held in great affection. Moira Stewart looks back on Diana's early life.
Lady Diana Spencer was born into the aristocracy. She was one of 3 daughters of Earl Spencer, whose family had served the British monarchy since the 16th century. She was brought up at the family's home in Norfolk, amidst all the traditions that go with an aristocratic background. She was surrounded by beautiful things. Her schooling was the best money could buy.
She was a very shy girl when she first came to Westheath, shy with adults. Not with her friends, I don't think, when she was always one of the girls. She was shy with adults until she got to know them.
My years at Westheath were certainly very happy ones indeed. I made many friends who I often see, and in spite of what Miss Rudge and my other teachers may have thought at the time, I did actually learn something. Though you would never have known by my O-level results.
She was familiar with the life of the great estates, the hunting, the weekend shooting parties, and it was in that scene here at Althorpe that Charles first set eyes on her. She was in her early teens. Earl Spencer remembered it well.
They first met, I think, at my home, at Althorpe, a few years ago. Because Prince Charles was a great friend of my elder daughter, Sarah, who's now very happily married. But he was a great friend of hers, and he came to stay with her once, and he met Diana there. And always loved children, yes. Very good with people. She loved little children particularly, ever since she was a little child herself.
When she left finishing school in Switzerland, Diana set out to find a job. As her father said, she was very fond of children, and by a stroke of luck, and with a little help from her friends, she was taken on as a part-time nursery teacher at a school in West London.
Well, it was through friends. I wanted to teach children, and they said, why not come along? So I first started off doing afternoons, and then I took over the mornings and did whole days. But I only worked 3 days a week at kindergarten, and the other 2 I looked after American baby boy, which nobody seems to realise. It was very special to me.
London life for Diana was much like that of most of her friends, a flat in Knightsbridge and weekends in the country, where in fact it really all began. Diana's parents rented a house from the Queen on the Sandringham estate. It was quite close to the royal residence itself, so when the royal family assembled for their annual holidays there, it was natural that the Spencer family should be invited for picnics and shooting parties. Diana remembered one occasion well.
It was 1977 that Charles came to stay as a friend of my sister Sarah's for a shoot. We sort of met in a ploughed field.
The next time they met, just a few months later, was at a party on board Britannia. Charles invited Diana for a 10-day cruise round Scotland. It was obvious that she was more than just another escort. At Clarence House, meanwhile, the romance was being helped along from an unexpected quarter. Prince Charles had always been the Queen Mother's favourite grandchild. He relied greatly on her advice and guidance. And the Queen Mother's great and lifelong friend was Lady Fermoy, who happened to be Diana's grandmother. The 2 ladies plotted, so the story goes, in the nicest possible way, to bring their respective grandchildren together. It worked. Diana's name was soon being linked with Charles, but was she just another of his many girlfriends? From the lady herself, a discreet silence.
Lady Diana?
We thought it was going to be announced on his 32nd birthday, but there wasn't, and he told reporters yesterday that it may be coming soon. Have you any comment to make about that?
Lady Diana?
No comment all round. Did you have a good weekend though?
Then suddenly it was official.
The couple who kept a secret for 3 weeks, Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer, talk about falling in love and the moment they decided to marry. Lady Diana says she's blissfully happy, and the future king says he's positively delighted.
We're very happy and very proud and very pleased it's all resolved. And I think we both feel enormously proud of Diana, that she's taking on such a big responsibility. And she's also a great giver. You know, she's a very generous kind of person. You know, she wants to give rather than take. And I think that's the most important of all, don't you?
So the weeks of hide and seek with the press were over. The crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace, hoping to catch a glimpse of the couple. At a press conference at Buckingham Palace, the Prince and Princess faced the cameras for the first time together. Diana was proudly wearing her diamond and sapphire engagement ring. Diana was asked if it had been a strain carrying out a courtship without anyone knowing.
Yes, it has, but I think anyone in the position we've been in would feel the pressure and everything. But it's been worthwhile, every bit of it.
Of course, the Prince has been in this position all his life. It was something that was entirely new to you, of course.
Yes, but I hope I coped all right. I'm still around, anyway.
I think everyone's full of admiration for the way you did cope, if I may say so.
What about the proposal, Your Royal Highness? How did that come about?
Well, I asked Diana before she went to Australia, 2 or 3 days before, because I thought it'd be a good idea that, apart from anything else, if she went to Australia, she could then think about it, and if she didn't like the idea, she could say she didn't, or if she did, she could say that. But in fact, you actually said
yes, quite promptly.
Before you went to Australia?
Yes.
And then we had to sit on it for 3 weeks.
Must have been an agonising 3 weeks. Did you speak at all? I mean, the phone lines must have been pretty busy between here and Australia.
Yes, we tried, but it was quite difficult because I think there was a certain amount of press interest there, although they never actually found you, did they?
No.
But I rang up on one occasion and I said, can I speak? And they said, no, we're not taking any calls. So I said, well, is the Prince of Wales speaking? How do I know it's the Prince of Wales? Came back to reply. I said, well, you don't, but I am, in a little rage. And I mean, eventually I got the number because they were staying somewhere else. But they said, oh, no, the phones are tapped or something, which I found highly unlikely.
Do you find it a very daunting experience that yesterday you were a nanny looking after children, now you're about to marry the Prince of Wales, and one day you would, in all likelihood, be Queen? It's a tremendous change for someone, if I may say, of 19 to make all of a sudden, the transition.
It is, but I've had a small run-up to it all in the last 6 months. And next to Prince Charles, I know I can't go wrong. He's there with me.
For a previously unknown nursery school teacher, life now was becoming impossible. She couldn't move out of doors without a posse of photographers following her wherever she went. When they went out together in public for the first time, the crowd was almost hysterical. Once again, the Queen Mother came to the rescue. "Come and live with me," she said, at Clarence House, her well-guarded home in the heart of London. In these beautiful and historic surroundings, Diana had her first taste of what it was like to be truly royal, and got some helpful hints from a former queen herself on the role that lay before her. "500 million people around the globe watched the ceremony live.